All right, let's talk about one of the wildest comeback stories in tech right now. We're diving into Micron Technology. This is a company that was getting absolutely hammered by an industry downturn, and then, seemingly out of nowhere, staged this just incredible financial turnaround. And the secret ingredient, the hero of the story, you guessed it, AI. So, how did this actually happen? Let's get into it.
Okay, so this is our starting point. Fiscal year 2023. Micron wasn't just having a bad year. They were deep in the red. We're talking a net loss of $5.8 billion. This really shows you just how brutal and unforgiving the memory chip business can be. The company was in a really tough spot.
And then, bam, just 2 years later, you see this, a complete 180-degree reversal. We're talking an $8.5 billion net profit. That is a swing of over $14 billion from loss to profit. It's kind of hard to believe, right? So the big question is, what on earth could possibly cause a shift like that?
To really get the comeback, you first have to understand the crash. See, the memory industry is famous, or, maybe infamous, for these absolutely brutal boom and bust cycles. And back in 2023, Micron found itself at the bottom of a very, very deep bust. The whole semiconductor world was feeling the pain, but the memory companies like Micron, they got hit the worst. The demand for their bread and butter products, the chips that go inside our PCs and smartphones, it just vanished. Prices collapsed and profits completely evaporated.
But right when those old markets were falling apart, a new one just exploded onto the scene. The AI revolution arrived, and it came with this insatiable, almost bottomless appetite for a very specific, very powerful kind of memory. And well, this changed absolutely everything.
And here it is, the magic ingredient, high bandwidth memory, or HBM. Now think of the regular memory in your computer like a two-lane road. HBM is a totally different beast. It's like a skyscraper of chips all stacked on top of each other, creating this massive multi-lane superhighway for data. It's pretty much the only thing fast enough to keep the data-hungry processors that power AI fed.
So just how badly did the world want this stuff? Well, the market for HBM was projected to grow by an incredible 70% in a single year. I mean, that's not just growth, it's a tidal wave of demand. And it created this golden opportunity for any company that could figure out how to build it.
So, what did Micron do? They didn't just notice the opportunity, they grabbed it with both hands. They pivoted, and they pivoted hard, throwing their resources at this new demand. And in doing that, they basically rewrote their entire future.
And this is a really crucial detail. The comeback wasn't spread evenly across all their products, not at all. Sales of their DRAM, that's the fast memory that's essential for AI, they soared by 62%. Meanwhile, NAND, the memory used for storage in PCs and phones, it grew by a much more normal 18%. This tells you everything you need to know. AI was the engine, plain and simple.
So where did all that AI memory end up? Data centers. Look at this. In just 1 year, the data center business went from being about a third of Micron's revenue to well over half, 56% of total sales. AI wasn't just part of their business anymore, it had become the very core of it.
The final numbers are just staggering. Revenue hit a new all-time record for the company. Their profit margins almost doubled. And get this, they went from burning through over $6 billion in cash to generating nearly $4 billion. It was a complete top-to-bottom financial transformation.
But of course, Micron wasn't the only one who saw this opportunity. The HBM market is ridiculously profitable, which means it's also ridiculously competitive. You're basically looking at a high-stakes, three-horse race for who gets to dominate the future of AI.
The truth is, there are only a handful of companies on the entire planet that can make this advanced memory. It's an oligopoly. You have Micron, and then you have its two massive South Korean rivals, Samsung and SK Hynix. That's it. Those three control the whole market.
And this, right here, is where the story gets another crazy twist. For years, Micron was seen as the distant number 3 player. But by mid-2025, that picture had totally changed. As you can see, Micron surged into the number 2 spot in this critical HBM market, grabbing 21% of it and, incredibly, jumping ahead of the industry giant Samsung.
They were so successful, their product was so in demand, that the company announced its entire supply of this high-profit HBM was completely sold out for the entire next year. They literally could not make this stuff fast enough to meet demand.
Okay, so Micron has turned itself into an AI powerhouse. The question now becomes, what's next? And this brings us to the central debate, the bull case versus the bear case for the company's future.
So here's the debate. On one side, you've got the bulls. They say Micron's leadership in this high-profit HBM and its shift to data centers is a permanent change for the better. They think the best is yet to come. But on the other side, the bears are quick to point out the industry's ugly history of those boom and bust cycles. They worry about geopolitical risks and the continued weakness in the old PC and smartphone markets. Lots of reasons for caution.
And really, it all boils down to this one question. Has the endless demand from AI finally broken that old, painful cycle, creating a brand new era for companies like Micron? Or is this just the biggest, most exciting boom we've ever seen right before the next inevitable bust? That right there is the multi-billion-dollar question.